Hi crafters, it's Cynthia. I am back again with actually a part 2 video that is just a follow-up to the previous November 2017 Simon Says Stamp card kit, where I got this big gorgeous stamp set. And just as a tiny refresher, here is the information sheet. It's called the Kind Flowers card kit, and it's just lovely, full of wonderful papers from Pebbles, and lots and lots of stickers, and that gorgeous stamp set, and lots of fun papers. So I was having so much fun with this that I basically only did 6 in the first video, 6 cards, but then I said, you know, really I could have kept going. So what this is just a continuation of me making some more cards with the contents of the kit. So this little emboss it pen was part of the kit, and it is really, really fabulous because you can add embossing to non-stamped images, or, you know, just using it as accents, or anything that you really want. So having an embossed pen in your stash is actually really, really helpful, especially if you enjoy embossing as much as I do. So out of the papers, I pulled this one out because I thought this was so sweet, and I really liked the tones of it. And then I hadn't yet used that beautiful dark chocolate cardstock from Simon, so I wanted to be sure to use that. And this has actually been cut completely to the size of an A2 card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this one is slightly smaller, of course. And what I'm planning on doing is attaching it down and just having a little exposed strip here, and in that exposed area I'm going to take this long stamp. It's just a row of little squares, and what I'm going to do is stamp it here and then use the liquid platinum embossing powder from Ranger. And this powder is really fabulous. It's a great neutral metallic, so if you don't really want to go as bright as gold, and you definitely don't want a really cold silver look, this is a perfect medium. So it's silvery, but it's a very, very warm, rich silver, and I think it's going to look really lovely with these grayish brown tones here. So then what I also did is I cut down one of the pieces of the pattern paper from the kit, and it had a bunch of these little tags. And so I just took a floral and this sentiment tag that says hello, and I punched out the holes just with a good old-fashioned hole punch and taped them together. So this is going to be sort of my sentiment piece, if you will. So let me go ahead, and I'm trying to think if I want to, I think I'll just, sometimes when I know that I'll be heat embossing, I don't want to tape or glue anything down to the cardstock until I'm done embossing, just because I worry about the heat of the embossing tool affecting the glue or the tape. So I will do my embossing first, and I'm just going to get out my Versamark ink pad. I should have things more prepared, but I don't, so sorry about that. You can hear me rattling around in the background. So I'm just going to treat the surface here with my anti-static bag, and pretty much I'm going to ink up the entire length of this strip because it's only just a tiny bit longer than my piece of cardstock. And I'd hate to stamp it and realize I didn't get enough ink. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to start speeding up and doing a voiceover. So I am just stamping down carefully, and I'm going to use that pretty liquid platinum powder, and I'm using that embossing pen now to just cover the ends of my 2 little tags. And this is just a super, super easy way to get some embossing on those tags as well as the card base. Everyone's favorite part, the melting. So that looks nice. And now I'm going to take the pattern paper piece and just attach it down. And then that panel is just going to get put down on an A2 card base. And I want to make sure that that little edge there, the fold of the card, is really where I match up the best I can. And now I decided I'm going to put a little twine here through the hole and then tie a bow. This took me way longer than it should have, so I'll gloss over it. But there is the end result. And then finally I am going to, I've popped up those tags and they're going to go down on the card front. So there is my finished card. So card number 8, I wanted to do some more custom background paper. So I'm taking the piece of the apple green cardstock, and there is the matching green apple ink from Simon. And I'm just going to take some of the little stamps from the stamp set and just do a completely random little pattern here all over that piece. And now I'm taking one of the leaves and again just randomly putting it all over the place. And I will take the second leaf and do the exact same thing. And the idea is that I want to fill it up but also leave space for now this little flower here. And of course, since it's small, I'm going to be putting quite a bit more. And now I'm going to use the little closed heart or filled in heart for little green hearts everywhere. And the ink looks like it's stamping splotchy, but that's part of Simon's ink. It does that at first, and then as it dries, it evens out and is very beautiful. So now the final bit is stamping the open heart. And again, I'm going to use a lot of these because I'm really filling in all the little spots that need something. So I'm going to use my Prismacolor pencils, and I'm going to run all of the color numbers and names on the bottom of the screen, and I'm also showing you here each one. And this is a technique I very rarely do, but it is quite pretty. So I love the way that these highly pigmented pencils will color over any color cardstock that you're using. So one of the tricks that I have tried to learn is coloring in layers. You don't want to just press down real hard on your pencil. You want to just build up multiple layers of color until it reaches the saturation that you want. So that's not easy to do, but I tried. So here I am. I've already done all the little white flowers. Now I'm going to fill in all of the open hearts with the pink. And when I'm all done with the coloring, I'm going to use a blending stub and some Gamsol odorless mineral spirits, I guess they are. But basically, in this particular brand of colored pencil, there is the pigment and a wax binding agent. And the Gamsol, see, there I am dipping into the little jar of Gamsol, and then I'm just coloring over it with my blending stump and pulling out the magenta from the center of the flower out. But what I was going to say is that the Gamsol will dissolve the wax that is the binder for that pencil, and then it leaves you with just the color, just the pigment. You can see I used my little emery board nail file just to sharpen up the tip of my blending stump when it gets dull. And I'm adding just a little more colored pencil. And it's going to look a little dark, as you can see here, but if you look at the other flowers that are dry, that's what they'll all look like when they're done. It gets the paper a little dark at first. So anyway, as you can see, I added little tiny dots with my white gel pen because I just felt like it needed something to brighten it up. And then I took the panel and I cut it into 3 strips, and I'm going to mount that on a piece of the green leaf cardstock. And I always start with the center strip because then it'll be easier to get the side strips in place. If you start at one edge, you might not get your spacing correct. So then that entire panel, oops, I ran out of tape. The entire panel is going to get attached down to an A2 size card front. And it's not perfect, but I'm just doing my best here. So I wanted to use this little sentiment square, or rectangle, sorry. But what I'm going to do is take that heart stamp again in that same green leaf ink. And now I'm coloring it in with the pink because I want to really accentuate, try to make this sentiment piece match my little background. And in order to do that, I'm also going to color in a couple more flowers here, exactly the same way as I did before, and I will also spread the color with my Gamsol. So here it is. I have those little 3 flowers popped up in the corner on some foam squares, and you can see the pink hearts in the background, and then this entire panel is on a little piece of foam, fun foam, and I'm just going to stick it down to the card front. And there we go. That is my finished card. All right, so card number 9, I'm going to use this piece of ivory cardstock from the kit, and I'm doing a landscape orientation side folding card. Now I'm taking some oxide distress ink in the worn lipstick color, which is a lovely pink, and I'm just doing a little bit of sponging to create just a little background glow. And because of the layout I have in mind, you'll see how this is going to work. Here's this strip of pattern paper left over from the card kit, and I'm going to just attach that down across the bottom. And then in the sticker sheets, I took a gold leaf here, and a flower cluster, and a rose, and another rose, and created this pretty little floral focal piece. And I also finally used the pretty gold leaves that you get in the kit. And so you can see I have them peeking out from underneath. And I actually helped secure those with some painter's tape, so you'll see that on the back side. Now I am peeling off the back of my foam squares, getting it centered right in the middle of the card, and then again from the cut aparts in the pattern paper, there was this cute little tag, and I just snipped off the end so that it just looks like a sentiment strip. And that is the finished card. I really, really like the way that this one turned out. All right, so for card number 10, I'm starting out with the dark chocolate cardstock, and I'm taking that large, beautiful flower and word stamp, and I'm going to heat emboss on the paper. So I'm using my Versamark sticky ink, and I'm going to get that stamped down really, really well. And now I'm using my fine detail gold embossing powder, and I just want to cover that up really, really nicely. And I'm just going to heat it so that all that gorgeous bright gold shows up really, really well. And now I'm being brave. I'm cutting apart the sentiment into, again, 3 strips. And this time I'm isolating that word kind in the center. So I've trimmed down the edges of the brown, and I'm going to put it on top of that pretty floral pattern paper, which is the same size as my card base. And now these 3 strips, I want to get them lined up just perfect right on the card front. And I'm going to tape down the bottom and the top with just flat to the card base. And I'm holding that center piece with the painter's tape. And now that little section is going to get popped up on a strip of my foam tape. And it's just going to add a little lift to that piece and really help that word to stand out. And then again, from the stickers, I pulled out a golden butterfly and 2 gold hearts. And then it needed just something else. So now I'm taking my white gel pen. I'm using a ruler on the long stretches of card and just putting down a little stitched line. And I love adding stitch stuff to my cards. I haven't done it too often in these card kit videos, but I do this little trick quite a bit. And it looks so gorgeous on that dark brown cardstock. And there we go. That is the finished card. Very pretty, but really quite simple. All right, for the 11th and final card, I'm using the MFT, My Favorite Things, Quilt Square Cover-Up Dynamics. And this is a fabulous die that I've had for a long time, and it's a lot of fun to create your own little quilted looks. So I'm taking the dark chocolate and I created a frame, which you can see there, and then I cut some of the pattern papers from the card kit, and I used a light and a dark, both with gold foil detailing, and those are going to become the central part of my quilted piece. So I am just carefully laying all of those pieces in, and you'll see in a moment I used my Sook Wang double-sided tape on the back side, and then when I'm ready to stick it down I just peel the backing away. So it's a real easy way. Oh, and then here I've used a different paper and filled in all those extra little bits, and then this tag, the birds and the coloring and everything match that paper exactly. So I wanted to use this as my sentiment, and then I had a piece of this pretty ivory ribbon in my stash, so I'm just going to tie a little knot here, and then I'm going to feed the ends through the tag and create a little bow. And then I will trim down the long ends of that ribbon. And now I'm taking that gorgeous ivory embossed paper that came in the kit, and that tape wasn't working so well, so I just put it on the card base itself. It's just an A2 side folding card base, and now I can pull off the double-sided backing of my quilted focal image, and I'm just going to press that down really, really well, and that is card number 11. All right, so let's go ahead and review the cards that I made for part 2. So I'm going to start counting from 6 because there are 6 cards in the previous video. So this is actually card number 7, which I just made with a little bit of stamping here, a little bit of heat embossing here and here, this tag piece and this sentiment piece from the paper pack, and then this background piece. And here is card number 8, where I created a custom background, cut it into 3 panels, and then accented this piece with some of those hearts and then the flowers again here, just to bring everything together. And here's card number 9, where I used just a strip of the pattern paper, this little sentiment from the paper pack, these 3 stickers, this beautiful gold leaf sticker, and then the leaves that came with the kit. And then I just did that simple pink sponging in the background to kind of marry the back and the elements together. Here's card number 10, where I did some heat embossing. Again, I cut 3 panels here and popped up the center here for just a little bit of interest and focus on the word. Then I added the stickers here and here, and then just did that little simple stitching, and the background is just that pretty piece of pattern paper. And finally, card number 11, where I used that gorgeous embossed ivory paper, and then I took pieces of 3 different pattern papers from the pack to create my quilted panel here. And then again, this was just a cut apart from the pattern paper, and I just tied it on with a real simple little ivory ribbon. So I really think that these cards turned out nicely. They're different from the first 6 that I did, and it just goes to show you that this particular kit really lends itself to quite a bit of card making, because again, I still have all of these tags and little sentiment pieces here, all of this cut apart from that lovely pattern paper. And some of these would lend themselves to scrapbooking very nicely, and others can definitely be part of a card, or even gift tags for people's presents. This would make some lovely, lovely gift tags. So there's quite a few pieces here. I hardly used any of these lovely leaves, so I still have a bunch of those. I still have pieces of pattern paper and all kinds of things left over. So again, even though I have made now 11 cards, I still have plenty of items left in the kit. So this kit is a huge value. So if you're one of the ones who got it when it was available, then I recommend that you play with it, because I think you can really, really, really think outside the box with this. Like this card is really bright and kind of has a more whimsical feel to it, as opposed to a few things that are a little more formal. So it just kind of depends on the look that you're going for. But anyway, thank you so very much for watching this video with me, and I hope that you got inspired with a few different ideas and are excited to play with your own supplies. I am going to be doing, of course, another card kit video. The next Simon Says stamp kit that's coming out features their Doodlebug Christmas paper of Milk and Cookies is the collection name, and I actually already have some of those papers and embellishments, but the card kit is focused on that, and it comes with an exclusive stamp set that is based on the Doodlebug paper, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So please keep your eyes open for that on my channel, and in the meantime, I hope you guys are having fun crafting wherever you are, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.